Let's jump right in. We are decoding that confusing lineup of slots, notches, and pins on the sides of your laptops and phones. If you've ever stared at your devices and just thought, how am I supposed to know what goes where? Well, you're not alone. Today, we're breaking down every major modern hardware connector, what they actually do, and how to instantly tell them apart.
So, which cable actually goes where? It's the ultimate question when you're staring at a drawer full of tangled wires, right? It can honestly feel like a guessing game sometimes, but I promise you, there's a real logic to this hardware design. By the end of this explainer, you're going to be reading your device's ports like an absolute pro.
Here is our quick roadmap. First, USB-C and Thunderbolt. Then, legacy USB and phone ports. After that, we'll hit connecting screens and displays and wrap up with audio, storage, and networking.
All right, Section 1, USB-C and Thunderbolt. Let's look at the undisputed modern standards.
You definitely know USB-C. It's instantly recognizable by that small, oval, perfectly symmetrical shape. And honestly, that symmetry is its superpower. There is no right side up, so it just plugs right in on the first try. It's rapidly becoming the universal standard for practically all new tech.
But wait, here's the part that completely trips people up. USB-C describes the shape of the plug, not what it actually does. This is absolutely crucial to understand. You could have two identical-looking cables that do wildly different jobs. One might literally just charge your phone, while the exact same-looking cable right next to it transfers data at blazing speeds, pushes out beautiful 4K video, and charges your laptop all at once. It's just a shape standard. The underlying technology is what actually matters. So how do you tell the difference? Well, if you look closely and spot a tiny lightning bolt icon next to that oval port, you're no longer looking at standard USB-C. You are looking at Thunderbolt. It uses the exact same physical connector, but man, it represents a massive leap in capability. I like to think of it this way. USB-C is just the physical doorway, but Thunderbolt is the super-fast highway running right through it. Built by Intel and heavily tied to Apple hardware, this high-speed highway means a Thunderbolt port can easily drive multiple 4K monitors, move massive files in seconds, or even hook up an external graphics card to a standard laptop. It's a total powerhouse.
Moving on to Section 2, Legacy USB and Phone Ports, the classics that pave the way.
Okay, we gotta start with the absolute classic, USB-A. This flat rectangular connector has been haunting us since the late 90s. And yeah, as we all know, it exists in this weird quantum state where it always takes exactly 3 tries to plug it in. While it's slower than USB-C and definitely being phased out, it is still everywhere. Keyboards, mice, older PCs, this is probably still your main port.
Now for phones, you'll probably recognize microUSB. It's got that small trapezoidal shape. For years, this was the absolute undisputed standard for Android phones and like a million other small electronics. Today, it's mostly retired, totally eclipsed by the much easier symmetrical USB-C. And right alongside it was Lightning, Apple's very distinct, flat, rounded connector. For over a decade, this ran the show for iPhones, iPads, and AirPods. It was totally revolutionary when it launched because just like USB-C, it was actually reversible. But, you know, the tech landscape is always shifting. And that shift was huge. After literally decades of fragmented standards, living with the USB-A era, the whole Android versus Apple, micro-USB versus Lightning divide, things finally changed. The European Union passed regulations requiring a standardized USB-C port across all phones sold in Europe. And that legislative move finally pushed Apple to join the Android world, retiring the Lightning cable on new devices and basically unifying mobile tech under a single USB-C banner.
All right, Section 3. Let's talk about connecting screens and displays.
First up is a crowd favorite, HDMI. This flattened trapezoid is the absolute default for televisions. It carries both high-quality video and audio all in a single cable. If you're hooking up a laptop to a TV or just setting up a basic monitor on your desk, this is your go-to for sure.
Now, DisplayPort looks incredibly similar at first glance, but look closely and you'll see a distinct asymmetric notch on one side. This thing is powerful. It's heavily favored for PC monitors because it naturally supports higher refresh rates, which is an absolute must for gaming, and it lets you easily daisy-chain multiple monitors together.
So if you ever get them mixed up, and let's be real, they look a lot alike, just remember this quick rule of thumb. Your living room TV setup or basic media center, you almost always want HDMI. But if you're building a high-end PC rig, especially for high frame rate gaming, DisplayPort is usually exactly what you need.
Finally, Section 4, Audio, Storage, and Networking. Let's check out these utility slots.
The 3.5mm audio jack, an old familiar friend. Even though it's rapidly disappearing from our smartphones to push us toward wireless earbuds, it remains a massive staple on laptops for reliable, zero-latency listening.
Next up, we have the SD card slot, which is basically a creator's best friend. This thin, rectangular opening lets photographers and video editors pull high-res files right off a camera. No annoying dongles required. You'll also see a tiny version of this, called microSD, used on some phones and tablets to instantly expand their storage.
And wrapping up the physical ports, we have Ethernet. It looks just like an oversized landline phone jack, but this is your ultimate go-to for maximum network stability. Whether you're pushing massive files over a corporate network, or you just desperately need zero lag in a competitive game, hardwiring with Ethernet is definitely the way to do it.
So next time you're staring at a row of totally unfamiliar slots on a shiny new piece of tech, just remember these quick shortcuts. First, the physical shape identifies the family, whether that's USB-A, HDMI, or USB-C. Second, the tiny icons printed right next to it, like that Thunderbolt lightning bolt, or even just knowing the device itself will tell you exactly what that port is truly capable of doing.
We've covered a lot of ground today, from the legacy classics to the high-end display powerhouses. But as we watch USB-C quietly evolve to handle absolutely everything, from charging to running dual 4K displays to crazy fast data networking, I've got to leave you with this thought. With all of these different capabilities converging into one tiny symmetrical oval, is a true one-cable future finally here? Think about it. Thanks for tuning into this explainer, and hopefully you never have to guess which cable goes where ever again.